Donald Trump, former president of the United States, has now admitted that he knew the information was in fact classified, according to a recording. Let's go to it.
Breaking news. Trump reportedly caught on tape. Damaging new evidence in the Trump classified documents criminal investigation. CNN is reporting prosecutors have obtained an audio recording of a summer 2021 meeting in which former President Donald Trump acknowledges that he held on to a classified Pentagon document about a potential attack on Iran. The recording indicating Trump understood that he had retained classified materials after leaving the White House. The report adds, on the recording, Trump's comments suggest he would like to share the information, but he's aware of limitations on his ability post-presidency to declassify records. This directly undercuts one of Trump's defenses that he could and that he did declassify everything.
Wait a minute. Donald Trump launched an affirmative defense saying he can declassify with his brain power. However, in this recording, according to the report, he was well aware that the information he had in his hand was not, in fact, declassified information. We have a lot of questions. I will provide some answers, definitely not all of them, because the only person who knows all of the answers is Donald Trump. You're not getting it from him. Remember when Trump said this?
Why did you take those documents with you when you left the White House?
I had every right to under the Presidential Records Act. You have the Presidential Records Act. I was there and I took what I took and it gets declassified. Biden, on the other hand, he has 1,850 boxes. He had boxes sent to Chinatown, where they don't speak even English in that Chinatown we're talking about.
But it does not say that you can take documents with you. It says actually that they are the property of the federal government.
It says you talk, you negotiate, you make a deal. It's not criminal, by the way. The Presidential Records Act is not criminal. And just so you know,
it does not say you can negotiate to take the documents with you.
Can I tell you? Just so you understand, the Presidential Records Act is not criminal. I took the documents, I'm allowed to.
Obviously, he's completely incorrect about the Presidential Records Act. He has said the information was declassified based on his brain power. And now there is a recording of him in a meeting. And according to those who are close to the story, they said you could hear him literally ruffling papers while talking about this highly classified information. Trump apparently made the admission during a meeting with a group that included his communications aide, Margot Martin, and were helping to write an autobiography of Mark Meadows, Trump's last White House chief of staff. The autobiography later recounted that during the meeting, Trump talked about a 4-page report typed by Mark Milley himself. It contained the general's own plan to attack Iran, deploying massive numbers of troops, something he urged President Trump to do more than once during his presidency. Sources who spoke with CNN disputed that Milley authored the report. Trump expressed frustration that Milley refused to take responsibility for the attack plan and added that if he could release the document, it would undermine Milley's account he gave in July 2021, the article in the New Yorker. Now, we're talking about issues of national security, obviously. The individuals who are named, they have top secret clearance, which means they professionally will lie. Outside of that context, we can always argue about, do we need this hyperactive intelligence dynamic with the country anyway? It's a different argument. Today's argument is about Trump putting himself in jail. That's what the story is today. This is the reason attorneys tell you to shut the hell up when you are under criminal investigation, because what you say, what you submit publicly and willingly can become part of the judicial record. There are multiple ways to get these statements in. made by Donald Trump himself. There's more. In that telling Milley pushed back against plans by Trump to strike Iran after the 2020 election, telling him at one point, if you do this, you're gonna have an effing war. Smith may be wrapping up his investigation, talking about Jack Smith, into Trump's handling of dozens of boxes of classified material after the special counsel and his prosecutors have interviewed all Mar-a-Lago employees. I said from day one, you don't bring Jack Smith into a case to help you investigate. You bring Jack Smith in to get an indictment and to lead a prosecution. That's why he's here. Once Jack Smith was hired, the writing was on the wall. Now you have Donald Trump, who obviously was well aware he stole classified information. Trump supporters are now trying to spin a narrative that Trump was actually being a whistleblower. What was the purpose of Trump, if the narrative is even true? What was his purpose of releasing the document, of having a meeting, of saying he wanted it to be out in the public, perhaps? It was to undermine one person, okay? This was about ego. This was about Trump, as all things are. At the end of the day, Trump obviously is a charlatan. He has tricked a lot of people. Those who are coming to the awareness of what Trump has done, well, they are basically too far in. They're too deep to turn back. Now you have the Satan as option number 2, okay? This is going to be an interesting dynamic. The only way, in my opinion, that Trump avoids being prosecuted, and I mean significantly prosecuted, is if a deal is struck with the federal government. We shall see. Dear sister, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, the thing with these documents has always been a question of whether or not he knew he was doing something illegal by hanging on to them. I feel like intentionality when it comes to committing illegal acts sometimes seems to matter more times than in other cases. But in this case, it was always fairly obvious that Trump knew what he was doing, if only by the fact that, first he tried so hard to conceal the documents, then he failed to hand them over when the National Archive asked for them back, and then he lied and said that he had declassified them in his head, which makes no sense. But for the holdouts, the people who are still giving Trump the benefit of the doubt, whereas these documents were concerned, this is really nice to have on record finally.
Yeah, and let me say this. I'm positive they have more tapes. What they are likely going to do is wait for Trump to respond, lie, and release another one.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
another one, and another one.